So what this process is going to do is it's basically going to create a 4D build-up of just the kind of product on site just happening. So the foundations appear and then the building appears. So I always like to say to people is that's kind of being built by magic or has happened by fairies. So this is actually just something I walked past this morning, a local building in Bristol. And I want to ask you what you see. So if we just click through these couple here just to see all the blue. So typically when I ask construction firms what do they see, they'll see the physical stuff on it. This is going to be, it's a retrofit of a brownfield site. They're expanding the steel structure. We can see they're keeping the original concrete, and people will often pick out the stuff with the product, the building. If we go to the next slide, what we actually see as manufacturing engineers, and the big thing we try and push for people in construction to see is actually there's much more to this than just the building. There's a mobile crane, there's articulated booms for access, there's street barriers have had to go in, there's material buffers, there's access for the workers, there's safety railings. There's a whole plethora of resources and equipment that needs to be considered on this site. So this is where I'm going to hand over to Callum. He's going to show you how we take this amazing process stuff and then enrich it with this sort of detail. Yeah, so over to you, Callum. Thank you for...
Perfect. No, thank you very much, James. So, just as James was saying there, you've got to look beyond the building and look at what is actually required. So we know this in terms of DELMIA's resources. So, traditionally, that when you simulate it, these resources are there, they're present, but they're not active. They don't do anything. Your construction is done, as they say, by magic or pixie dust. But really, the detail from your resources is what's going to define that extra granularity of de-risking what's happening on site. So some of the resources that we can take into DELMIA is, as you can see in the background, there's a point cloud scan or open site map data. So instead of having to get somebody to work and manually create your site, you can pull it from live data, or if you've got a point cloud scanner, go out there and just get the real data. Lifting equipment, whether that's forklifts, whether that's cranes, whether that's buck hoist, there's kind of endless. They will also interact with your components, so you can, if you know how heavy your product's going to be, you know which crane, the minimum crane you're going to need to lift that. Site security and layouts, you saw in the video there, laying out security fencing, is that going to cause an issue for your logistics? Issues like that present really easily in DELMIA, and we can see them really quickly, but something that's not normally considered. Crew sizes and hand tools. If we've got sort of maybe, our example here is just a simple prefab on site, but if you have something that's stick built, you have the area in which those parts are going to be laid out, plus you have the areas for the crew, plus you have the areas to store the hand tools. So that area for working gets bigger and bigger, and it's so much easier to visualize it when you have a simulation. So we have our resources. How does our resources now link to simulation? Well, in DELMIA, we directly consume them into the process.